Please make the same brief now. You're elongating it. Let's go to another thing. I'm not spending the whole day here. How much did you pay me?
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we will be telling you about cerebral palsy, about our challenges and our experiences of raising a child with disability. So we will be sharing the story of her birthing in this story today. So actually what happened was, if you've not watched the other video of our intro, how we met and how my husband proposed, run back and go and watch the previous video. So but in today's video I will be talking about the birthing of Eva. Actually, after I got married to my husband, I was fully pregnant, I was expecting. So then I was still living in Umuahia with my mother-in-law. So when I was fully I did my antenatal, and before then I want to give full definition of what is cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is simply defined as brain damage. So now
cerebral paralysis, brain paralysis.
Brain paralysis, yes, brain paralysis. So now after I was doing my antenatal, I had a very healthy pregnancy, no sort of complication, no sort of challenges, nothing. I did my antenatal, I took my drugs and everything went well. But on the day of delivery, when I was having contractions, my days of those early signs of contractions, and until when my water busted, I told my mother-in-law because I was with her. So we went to the hospital, and the hospital checked me and said I was only 2 cm dilated. So and my husband was serving in Akwa Ibom State. So I didn't want to tell him because I wanted to surprise him with the birthing of Eva. So already we knew she was a girl coming. We already did a scan, so we knew we were expecting a baby girl. So when I went to the hospital that very day, they admitted me. I stayed back in the hospital. They induced me, and after the induction, it lasted till the next day. My water broke in the morning. I went into the hospital that morning. Then I was induced with a tablet, and then till the next day I was not progressing. So guys, when I got to the hospital, I was induced. So but after 24 hours I was not really progressing. Already before then the pain was already getting me well. I was shouting, I was asking them for CS option, and they kept saying I should hold on for the doctor, that is my first time and it's going to take a long time, unlike other people, you know. So I stayed there. Even my mom-in-law was asking that the doctor, they should please come and section me, but they were not giving ears to us. They were not listening to us. They kept giving us time, giving me time upon time. Eventually that morning my husband kept calling as if he knew something was wrong. He kept calling to know what's happening. By the time he even found out, it was already late for him to take any decision because he was in far away Akwa Ibom State. So when they eventually took me to the theater, funny enough, when we got into the theater for the CS, the doctor told me after they have already fixed the catheter, did everything for the CS, read me for CS. The doctor told me that let him check if I have improved. And as a primary, that's a mom who is giving birth for the first time, I didn't know or understand the implications of anything they were doing to me. And this is a full hospital working. So the doctor checked me and said, wow, that I'm 8 cm because I've been at 6 cm for over hours. So he said I'm already 8 cm dilated, that I could start pushing. So I started pushing as they asked me to do. So I pushed for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and it took us, like I can remember we went to the theater at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I remember I came out of that theater around past 10 pushing one child. This has never happened in any of my other childbearing. So after the long push, the baby came out. She came out very weak, and my husband was not there, as I said. He was not around. So she came out very weak. They tried to resuscitate her, and the deed has been done. And finally she gave a very little cry, and they took her down to neonatals where they admitted her.
Anyway, the thing is, after the birth of the child, she didn't cry. She's supposed to cry, for her to, breathe and have her own life by herself. She didn't cry. According to my wife, they tapped her. She didn't cry, but she later cried after a few minutes or so. So that's how the cerebral palsy came. You know, I think they transferred them to another hospital
where they have nursery.
Where they have nursery, you know.
That's
when my wife called me and said, well, that's when I called her. She told me that she has given birth. I said, glory be to God. She said, but they are being transferred to another place. So I was like, what happened? So she gave me the gist, and that is how it started.
And like then, I didn't even know that something had happened, because they didn't tell me.
The hospital didn't tell her that.
They hid the whole thing from us.
This child had a problem, because they hid the whole thing from her. They didn't tell us that this child had a problem. Even after we left the two hospitals, even after we finished with the hospital, nobody told us about it. We had to come back home. Eva started, we started monitoring her. We found out that she's not meeting her milestone. I started going through the internet, Googling to check, why is my daughter not smiling? Why is my daughter not reaching out to objects? Why is my daughter not always quiet and stiff? That's when they told me that child, internet told me that child might be having brain damage. That's neuro problem. That's when we went to see a neurologist.
And funny enough, when they took us to the other hospital, they transferred us. They managed how they tried to put her on oxygen. They stabilized her. They said she had jaundice. They did blood transfusion. They did a lot of things. And after we were discharged, we spent about 2 months in the hospital. Nobody prepared us for anything. The doctors did not tell us that, madam or whatever, this has happened to your child. This is what you should expect. This is what you should see. This is what has gone wrong. So when we took the baby home, after 3 months, I used to complain to my mom-in-law, Eva is not smiling. Eva is not playing. Eva is just dull. She's just like that. You lay her, she's there, So, but she was growing big and getting fat and very beautiful, healthy, hairy baby. Eventually, when we got home, all these things started unveiling itself. And before we even found out, then she was already 7 months old. Because I remember I could complain to my mom-in-law that, if I is not smiling, she would say, children smile at their own pace, that she will be fine, she's a very beautiful girl, blah, blah, blah. So, but then we're not seeing what we're expecting. I had also lost my younger ones when they were growing up. So I was expecting to see a bubbling baby, so I wasn't seeing all that. So when I started seeing those changes, I ran back to the hospital where I gave birth to her. When I went back there, the doctors and the nurses that saw me during labor, I met some of them and I complained to the doctors that this is what I'm seeing. My baby is not doing this, because we have started doing research on our own. So they said there's nothing wrong with the baby, there's nothing wrong with this child, there's nothing wrong with her. You're just worrying yourself, this child is going to smile, this is going to want to. I said, but I'm trying to make a research and this is what we are finding. They said there is nothing like that this baby is fine. You can see her and all that. So they consoled me, and out of my little understanding, I was like, maybe it's true. So I went, they told me to give her some kind of milk, which we started buying, give her cod liver oil, give her Abidec. They gave me some names of some things to start giving her, which we did, and eventually nothing was changing. At that stage, that was when we moved to our new location. So when we came to where we base now, we now decided to find out more of what is wrong with our child.
Okay, so after my youth service, because it was after my youth service that I decided to bring my family to stay with me, because all this while she was staying with my family, my mom and my parents. That's my dad, my parents. Sorry. So I brought them in because I've rented an apartment, a 1-bedroom flat apartment. Furnish it to the level I can. A young man starting life. So when I brought them in, we started living together. I was monitoring my child, and I was not happy that she's always quiet. She hardly, moves her body and things like that. So I started Googling, and that's when I found about the neuro issue. So one day I told my wife, let's take this child to the hospital, the teaching hospital in Akwa Ibom State, we were here. So we took her to the hospital. The doctor we met, he just looked at her. There were some student doctors on seat that day. So the man asked them, do you know what's wrong with this baby? My heart was beating. I was, God forbid, let it not be cerebral palsy. The other girl said, I'm suspecting CP, cerebral palsy. That is the first day it was confirmed it's cerebral palsy. And that is the day, the journey through which we suffered emotionally, financially, and in so many ways started. So from that day, they told us we have to take her, that we're supposed to have known about this, that she's now 7 months old, going to 8 months old, that we're supposed to have started physiotherapy from, say, 3 months old. We told them that nobody said such thing to us, that we are just finding out now. So that is how they refer us to the physiotherapy center. That is how the journey started.
So now we have to end it here, guys. You know, before you sit down and finish that drink, watch out for the next part. We're going to tell you about her management and how we were able to cope with taking care of Eva, with all the financial challenges involved, managing her health, managing her at night, the pain, the spasticity of the bone, and all that comes with cerebral palsy. We are sharing this story because we know there is a mother, there is a father, there is a family out there who is going through what exactly we have gone through. Sit back and see you in our next video.
Thank you. Bye. That's okay now.
Are you not enjoying the story?
No, not good. That's the whole time there.
Wait, we are rounding up now.
5:27.
Shit.
Cool down.
No, be cool down.
Cool
Please,
down.
In the next 20 minutes.
Shall you say your face go bust my channel? Make I see as you go take bust down.
Where are you going to?
This guy will not just allow us to rest.